a Saturday night in Flint. We're live from the Dorn Financial Center as the Firebirds take the ice again tonight, and they do so against the Kingston Frontenacs. It's the third game in 3 days for the Birds, who are riding a 3-game point streak. And now they welcome the Frontenacs out of the Eastern Conference, one of the hotter teams in the league. Some non-conference action awaits the Birds in the front. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air, and it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome inside the broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show, driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you this story, I'm Brian Gardner. We got the Firebirds and the Kingston Frontenacs. Flint back to it today. Third game out of 3 in 3 nights. Firebirds coming off of a tough one last night. Flint fell down 2-0. Forced their way back into it, forced overtime, eventually lost to the Kitchener Rangers in a shootout by a final score of 3-2. For Kingston on the other side of things, the Fronts have not played since Thursday. They drubbed the Saginaw Spirit 9-5. Had the day off yesterday. They head to Sarnia tomorrow. So in the midst of a different part of an additionally tough stretch for the Kingston Frontenacs, another team the Firebirds are going to catch up with again very soon. These two teams, they play each other a total of 2 times this season. Once tonight, once less than a week from tonight on Friday. 2 games in the span of 1 week. The rest of the season, nothing. So the Firebirds and the Frontenacs will get a little familiar with each other over the next week or so here as it begins tonight here between the Birds and the Frontenacs. This non-conference action, Flint out of the West and Kingston out of the East. So take a look back at those last 2 games that we were just talking about with our highlights. We'll begin on Thursday in Saginaw. Kingston falls behind early. The first shift, the first goal for Igor Chernyshov from Zane Perek and Michael Misa on the backdoor tap-in, and it's 1-0. Kingston to respond, though. Gage Hayes on the rebound. He'll tuck it home. Hayes putting his shot on net, got his own board, and backhanded one home, and it's 1-1. Later, Saginaw going to take the lead. Jacob Cloutier going to the net. He tucks one home and scores 2-1 Spirit. Cloutier, a little backhander, opens up the 5-hole, and it's 2-1. Later, Kingston in this first period still. Jacob Battaglia. How about long range? To the back door on a tap-in for Battaglia, and it's 2-2. Still in the first, Kingston going to take the lead. Tuomas Uuranen off the feed from Malik McGowan. Uuranen puts it home, top shelf, and it's 3-2. Still later in the first, it's the Frontenacs with another one as traffic in front of the net. Tyler Hopkins scores. Collision, no problem for 2 Frontenacs. Second period we go, and early with a power play. It's Quentin Burns. Cedric Gandon puts it home, puts on the assist to him, I should say, as that was put home by Hopkins. And later on now, here come the Frontenacs leading 5-2. Tyler Hopkins, short side, scores his second of the game, and it's 6-2. Later, Battaglia to Hopkins for the hat trick. This makes the score 7-2. Kingston got 2 more. They go on to beat the Saginaw Spirit by a final score of 9-5. Last night, here in this building, Birds and the Kitchener Rangers. Christian Humphreys for Trent Swick. Nice little feed there as he puts it home. The Rangers off and running early. The redirection, quick little flick of the wrist for Swick, and it's 1-0. Just about a minute later, Tanner Lamb, top shelf on Nathan Day, and the score is 2-0. Lamb alone in the slot, can't leave him there. And the Birds dig themselves an early hole, but they start to dig out. Second period now. Matthew Wang there to Rylan Fellinger. Fellinger with a bullet top shelf. Fellinger, watch him load it up, snap it home as he beats the goaltender Parsons high on the blocker's side, and it's 2-1. In the third now, loose off a faceoff, Sam McHugh. How did that get home? McHugh's 8th goal in 8 games as a Firebird. Runs it down, quick shot. There was just a little bit of room over the right shoulder, and it's 2-2. Eventually into a shootout. Third round, Jack Pridham gets one past Nathan Day, so the Firebirds need to score to keep it alive. Sam McHugh, not quite. Turned away with the left pad of Jackson Parsons, and the Rangers hang on. They win it in a shootout by a final score of 3-2. Firebirds and the Kingston Frontenacs taking a look at the comparison, how things line up, the goal differential is plus 40 for Kingston. This is one of the better goal-scoring teams in the OHL, 199 of them on the season. Firebirds at a minus 13 goal differential. Flint's power play at 13.6%, PK at 75.7. PK is going to get a workout against the best penalty power play in the OHL for Kingston, 26.6%. Their penalty kill, middle of the pack. Standings, first in the West, that's where the Firebirds hang out. See Flint right now sitting in 6th, where they have been for a while. The Sarnia Sting are nipping at their heels. 43 standings points, just 2 back of Flint. But the Firebirds also only 3 back of 5th place Saginaw, only 5 back of 4th place Erie. Realistically, 4th place is what the Birds would target, as that top 3 start kind of running away with things. London, Windsor, and Kitchener. In the Eastern Conference, it's the Frontenacs now in 4th. Now, after being idle yesterday because of the results for Brantford and for Oshawa, the Frontenacs were in 2nd. Now they're in 4th. But when you look at 1st down to 5th, how about only 5 points separating the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference? It is an absolute battle out east. A lot of these teams loaded up their roster thinking that, hey, they can make something happen. And then even Sudbury and Brampton, both teams that consider themselves contenders as well. Then there's the drop-off down to 8th, where the Ottawa 67s are currently hanging out. So we got the Firebirds and the Kingston Frontenacs this evening from the Dort Financial Center. Should be a good crowd on hand on this Saturday evening in Flint. Firebirds points in 3 in a row, trying to make it 5 out of a possible 6 points on the weekend in this 3-3. Also trying to make it points in 4 in a row. Stick around a while as we roll along here on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. When we come back, we're going to look at the lineups for both these two teams, our players to watch for both the Birds and the Frontenacs. All that and more as the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive continues after this, live on FHN.
The all-new Shea Collision Center, designed and built for all your collision needs, in a streamlined process to make your experience seamless. First, you'll be greeted by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Next, we'll assess the damage for your insurance company. We'll then order all the parts needed. Production is next, with our highly trained and certified technicians. When all repairs are complete, we will clean, inspect, and deliver your vehicle back to you. The all-new Shea Collision Center. Your vehicle will love us, and you will too. Just Shea'n.
Saturday night's a night for hockey in Flint. Firebirds and the Kingston Frontenacs getting set to go at it. Live here on FHN. This is the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Why don't we look at tonight's lineups? We'll begin with the Kingston Frontenacs, our visitors from out east, as the Fronts are a team that can really score. You'll notice some familiar names on this roster. Kingston made a couple of trades with the Saginaw Spirit at the trade deadline, so the likes of Joey Willis, Ethan Hay, Will Bishop, guys that the Firebirds are used to seeing, as is their starting goaltender, the overager, the former Sioux Greyhound, Charlie Schenkel, lining up for the Kingston Frontenacs. How about our players to watch for tonight's game? We'll begin with Tuomas Uurinen. He's red hot. The Vegas prospect has goals in 9 in a row. Uurinen, a Finland import, has really taken off as of late. 9-game goal streak, 10 goals during that stretch, an 11-game point streak, 25 points during that stretch. It is tough to slow him down. 26 goals and 36 assists on the season. You know the Firebirds will make a concerted effort to do that, but Uurinen, one of the more dangerous offensive weapons in the Ontario Hockey League. Joey Willis is somebody the Firebirds are uncomfortably familiar with. Against the Firebirds this season, 6 goals and 2 assists. All of those were as a member of the Saginaw Spirit. Willis has been a Firebirds killer. He was one of the biggest names moved at the trade deadline as he arrives in Kingston, a team that's loading up for a run at a title. 8 games, 8 points, 4 goals and 4 assists thus far for Willis with the Fronts, as he's an Illinois native from just outside of Chicago. He's a Nashville Predators prospect, also a World Junior gold medalist with Team USA at the most recent World Junior Championships. And Jacob Battaglia, the Flames prospect, has elevated his game again this season. Last year in his draft year, 31 goals and 34 assists. This season, he's now eclipsed that point total already. 67 points on 29 goals and 38 assists. That has come in only 45 games. Now, he was a second-round draft pick of the Calgary Flames, number 62 overall. 5 points in the Frontenac's win over Saginaw on Thursday. 2 goals and 3 assists. He rides a 7-game point streak, 7 goals and 12 assists into tonight's game. Battaglia 7th in the OHL in goals. Take a look at the Firebirds lineup as the Birds will move things around a little bit. I'll point your attention to the third pair, right defenseman James Paul making his OHL and Firebirds debut. You also see Josh Colosimo back into the lineup today. Chris Thibodeau moving up to the first line with Clattenburg and Petrie. Alex Kostov dropping down to join Reed and Aspinall on the third line. And Noah Bender gets the nod in net for the Firebirds. Our players to watch will begin on the blue line, and it's an easy pick for Rylan Fellinger, who has goals in back-to-back games for the first time in his OHL career. Now, for Fellinger, he got the Firebirds started in the second period last night. We don't necessarily expect him to all of a sudden be a goal-scoring machine from now on, but in the continued extended absence of Nolan Collins, still out with an upper body injury, Fellinger picking up more and more minutes, and like to see him looking comfortable and putting the puck in the net in each of the last 2 games, the second-year Firebirds D-man. Up front, and a guy that Frontenac's fans will be quite familiar with. For the first time, Chris Thibodeau faces his former team, Kingston, the team that drafted him, and the team that traded him to the Firebirds. Now, he spent 3 seasons in Kingston before being moved this summer. 42 goals and 66 assists, 108 points over 185 career games as a Frontenac. Thibodeau second on the Birds in both goals and in points. He is 6 shy of his career high of 21 goals, which was set last season with Kingston. Nice little trade there for Thibodeau, picking up a Reese's cup for a puck, and it looks like Sam McHugh doing the same thing. Sign a puck. I think he's getting the junior mints. Sam McHugh, he has been superb since joining the Firebirds. 8 games, 8 goals, and 4 assists. He scored the game-tying goal last night against the Kitchener Rangers to keep the good vibes rolling. He's also on a 6-game point streak. Fronts fans will remember him as well from his time in Peterborough. But the thing about Sam McHugh, he has really elevated his game even further since joining the Birds. 10 points in his 6-game point streak. In his 8 games as a Firebird, 12 points on 8 goals and 4 assists. So the Firebirds and the Kingston Frontenacs getting set to play some hockey here on this Saturday evening from Flint, Michigan. Birds hoping they can pick up 2 points after getting just the 1 yesterday, trying to extend that point streak to 4 games, trying to continue their climb up the Western Conference standings. Don't dare go anywhere. The lights are dimming behind me. It's almost time for the anthems and the starting lineup introductions. This has been the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. We got the Birds and the Frontenacs coming after this, live on the Firebirds Hockey Network.
There's not always a light on your dash when it comes to your brakes. Whoa! You ever hear that noise? Let me show you what could be going on. Wow, looks like it's time to replace those brake pads. Before this happens to you, come on in for your free brake inspection. If you need brakes, we'll even give you 10% off any brake repairs here at Shea. I'm Jesse Lopez, and that's my tip for the month. Come trust our process. Come trust the Shea service team.